Hello viewers, today we are going to start a new chapter, that is system modeling, and in case of system modeling we are going to cover 5 different models. So what are those models? Those are the context model, then we will go to cover the interaction models, then structural models we are going to next, and for the next we are going for behavioral model, and in the last we are going to cover the model driven engineering. So before going to what is these types of context model, what are the interaction model, what do you mean by behavioral model? So let us see what is system modeling, what is the meaning of system modeling and why we need system modeling. So now we are in the chapter of system modeling, that means we know what are the process activities involving in software development process. The first activity is requirement gathering. Once we gather the requirement from the customer by using the ethnography method, by using the scenario or by interviewing with the customer. So once we gather, we have to convert it into the user requirement and into the system requirement. And once we specify what are the actual requirements, then we need to design those requirements. That design part involves in system modeling. By the help of system modeling, we are going to develop or design the system architecture what for the system requirement. So let us see what is the system modeling. So coming to the slide, this is the introduction to system modeling. So system modeling is the process of developing abstract models of a system with each model presenting a different view or perspective of that system. That means here we are not developing the system actually. So what we are developing? We are developing the system model. Take an example. Suppose I want to renovate my living area, where there should be a TV unit, there should be a crockery unit, like that. So when I want to renovate those units like TV unit or crockery unit, I need to talk with the architect. That means I am not going to directly to tell him that you just come and renovate my living area. I have to talk with him, then he will have a drawing, that means he will have a structure that we are going to renovate the TV unit like this. These are the structures. Once I will agree with the structure, then he will physically come to my home and renovate my living area. This is what actually happens in case of software engineering. We are not going to develop the software from the scratch. We are not going to develop the software directly. We are going to develop a model, a demo version or a structural model or graphical model of a software. Then we are going to deliver that graphical or structural model of my software to the customer. Once my customer will agree with my structure, then I am going to develop the software. So system modeling means we are going to develop a model of a system. That means what actually my software will look like, what are the functionalities are there in my software, what are the functions that the software can provide in which way. So where I am presenting my software in a graphical manner, that is known as system modeling. And how we can done with the system modeling, that is by using the UML diagram, Unified Modeling Language. Like we have some programming language, C, C++, your Java, Python, all that are programming language. That means we are going to develop the code for a computer. But in case of modeling, what language we are using for a system model, that is Unified Modeling Language, that is UML diagrams. So system modeling has now come to mean representing a system using some kind of graphical notation, which is now almost always based on notation in the Unified Modeling Language, that is UML. So by the help of UML, the system model can be achieved. The system modeling means it is actually a kind of graphical notation that we are using to represent the software or the system what we are going to develop. Next point says system modeling helps the analyst to understand the functionality of the system, and models are used to communicate with the customer. So here we are using the system modeling for two purposes. The first one is analyst. We can give this system model to the analyst, then he can understand the functionality of a system. what are the functionalities are there and how the system could react in a environment. Then the system model can also use for communicate with the customer. So rather than talking to a customer directly, that is my software what I am going to develop, that software is going to provide these functionalities to you. Rather than like this, we are going to deploy a system model to the customer and we will ask them to look at this system model. These are the functions. If like for an example, suppose I am going to develop a website. So if I am going to talk to you about that, these are the menus. When you click on this menu, then you will go to that menu and like that. But if I am going to give a picture, I am going to give a pictorial representation of my website. That is, if you will click on here, then you will go to that sub menu. So this is very easily understandable by the customer when I will give a pictorial representation of something like that. So what is actually system modeling? When we are representing my software in sort of graphical notation, that is called as system modeling. So what at the system perspective? Why we are needing the system model? How we can go and develop a system model? What are the perspective there? So the first perspective is the external perspective. So in case of external perspective, where we model the context or environment of the system, in which environment my software is going to work, what are the supporting system there. Like in case of mental health care system, there is not a single software. Actually there are different subsystems. One system will keep the record of the patient, one system will help the patient to get the appointment, one system will keep all the records about the doctor, the nurses. So there are different variety of subsystem, and depending on which subsystem my mental health care system is running now, this is called as the environment for the mental health care system. So the external perspective means where we can model which environment my software is going to run. The next perspective is interaction perspective. So in case of interaction perspective, where we model the interaction between a system and its environment or the between the components of a system. So the interaction perspective says that what is the relationship in between the system and its environment, how the system is dependent on its environment. And when we are talking about a system, there is variety of subsystem, there is variety of components. So what are the relationship in between those components, what are the relationship between those subsystem, that can be done by using the interaction perspective. Then the third perspective says the structural perspective, where we model the organization of a system or the structure of the data that is processed by the system. So here in this structural perspective, the data that we are going to store in the database and how the data is going to phase, how the data is going to retrieve, how the data is going to process through the system, that can be done by the structural perspective. Then last perspective is behavioral perspective. Behavioral perspective, that means where you model the dynamic behavior of the system and how it responds to events. That means in which type of event my software is going to behave like this. So the dynamic behavior of the system, if this event is going to happen, then how my system will react. If that behavior is going to happen or that event is going to happen, then how my system should react. This can be done by the behavioral perspective. So we have 4 different system perspectives. The first one is external, that means what are the relationship in between my environment and my system. The next one is interaction, that means what are the relation in between the components, in between the subsystem. Next, the third one is structural. Structural means how my data is going to processed inside the system, and the last one is behavioral, that means how my system should behave in a particular event. So for these 4 perspectives, external, interaction, structural and behavioral, what type of UML diagram are there? In for the external perspective, what type of UML diagram we are going to represent? For the structural perspective, what type of UML diagram? So there are variety of UML diagram that can represent according to our system perspective. So, let us see what are the UML diagram types. So, the first diagram is activity diagram. In case of activity diagram, it will show the activities involved in a process or in a data processing. So, in a system, what are the activities, what are their relationship, how the system is going to react in case of what type of activities there. So, that can be represented by using a special diagram, that is activity diagram. Next, we have the use case diagram. So, we shows the interaction between a system and its environment. So, for the perspective where we can define the relationship in between the system and the environment, that is the interaction perspective. So, for the interaction perspective, we have the use case diagram. By help of the use case diagram, we can represent the interaction in between my system, my environment, in between my components and in between my subsystem. And for the system perspective, the first one is the external perspective, where it can show in which environment my system is going to run. So, that can be represented by a special diagram, that is context diagram. The third diagram is sequence diagram. So, in the sequence diagram, it shows the interaction between the actor and the system and between the system components. It shows the interaction between the actor, the system and between the system components. So, the second perspective says that the interaction perspective, and in the interaction perspective it shows two things: the interaction in between the system and the environment, the interaction between the components. So, by the help of use case diagram, we are going to represent the interaction between the environment and the system, and by using the sequence diagram, we are going to represent what are the interaction in between the components or the actor or the system. The next diagram is class diagram. So, in case of class diagram, it shows the object classes in the system and the association between these classes. Like in case of object oriented programming language, we have different classes, we have different objects, what are the relationship in between the objects and classes, what is inheritance, what is encapsulations and all that. So, when we are using the object oriented programming, there we need a class diagram to represent the relationship in between the classes and the objects. So, the next diagram is state diagram. So, state diagram shows how the system reacts to internal and external events. So, this actually the state diagram represents to the behavioral perspective. That means what the system can do when an internal or external event occurs, how my system could behave when some external and internal events occurs. So, that can be represented by a state diagram. That means, if an event occurs, then how the state of the system changes from one state to another state. Like suppose to take an example, my micro oven has in off state. That means it is in sleep state. When I will go to on the switch of the micro oven, then it will come to a on state. That means the state, the sleep state is going to change from the sleep state to the active state. So, that is how we can represent the how the system state is going to change. That can be represented by using the state diagram. So, let us see what is the use of this graphical representation, what is the use of this graphical model, how it can help us to develop a software. So, the graphical model can be used for three purposes. The first one is as a means of facilitating discussion about an existing or proposed system. So, the system may be exist before or the system we are going to develop is a proposed one. So, when we are using a graphical model, we can use that system model or graphical representation to facilitating a discussion what actually we are going to do, how the system can be developed, how the system can provide the functionalities. So, here the requirement may be incomplete or the requirement may be incorrect. As we are going to use this graphical model as a support discussion, we are going to use this graphical model for a discussion purpose that how my system could provide the functionalities. So, here the requirement may be incomplete or the requirement may be incorrect. So, that is why it is mentioned here that incomplete and incorrect models are okay, as their role is to support discussion while we are sitting along and we are discussing what actually we are going to do. There we can use this graphical model. We are not actually discussing that this exact system we are going to develop. The second one says as a way of documenting an existing system. If an existing system is there and we need to document or we need to make a documentation for that existing system, there also we can use this graphical model. So, model should be an accurate representation of the system, but it need not be complete. Maybe it complete or maybe it is incomplete. It can used as a documentation for an existing system. And the third use is as a detailed system description that can be used to generate a system implementation. So, here we are talking about the system implementation. That means we are talking that or we are sitting along and we have a discussion on that this exact system we are going to develop. So, there whatever the graphical model it may be, it should be complete and it should be consistent. It should be correct one, because we are going to code the software for this graphical model. So, if this graphical model is incorrect one, then we are going to code a wrong graphical model. So, that is why when we are using the graphical model for an implementation one, that means the graphical model should be correct and should be complete. So, this is the use of graphical models. So, we have discussed what is system modeling. So, let us take an example to understand what is actually a system modeling. So, what I have told you, the context model. The context model is used to represent the relationship in between the system and its environment. And we have taken the example of main care system. In case of main care system, for a central system, as we have a central system main care, so main care system cannot run itself. It should depend on some different subsystem. So, let us see what are the different subsystem there and how the main care system is going to depend on those subsystem. So, there we are using the context model for a main care system to represent the relationship between the main care and other environment, that means other subsystem which is actually treated as the environment for the main care system. So, this is actual our main care system, and this main care system cannot run itself and it will depend on 6 different subsystems. The first subsystem is our patient record system. So, in that patient record system, we are going to keep all those records of a patient who have visited to a main care. Then we have an admission system. So, in this admission system, if any patient required to admit into the hospital or how much beds are available there, how much beds are already pursued by some patients. So, those details can be stored in the admission system. Next, we have some prescription system. That means, when a patient has visited to the main care and in that health care some doctors are there, they have prescribed some medicines and all that to the patient. So, there we need to keep all those prescription to a system, that is prescription system. Next, we have some appointment system, and this system will provide the appointment to the patient. The patient can access this appointment system and took the appointment for a mental health care. Next, we have some health care statistics system. That means how many patients are get registered there, how many patients has admitted into the health care, how much prescriptions has given, what are the types of drugs that is prescribed by the doctors. So, this is the statistics system, and if there are 300 mentally ill people, then how much got recovered. So, all that statistics can be done by using this healthcare statistics system. And the last one is management reporting system. That means all the patients attendance, the doctors and the staff's attendance, and how much day the mental health care has opened. So, all these management relating reports can be generated by using the management report system. So, when we gather all these 6 systems together, then we can form a main care system. We cannot have a main care system, expect the patient record system or expect the appointment system. When we are collecting all these subsystem into a system, that is known as a main care system. So, if it is a main care system, so these are the environment for the main care system. Without having an environment, main care system cannot run itself. So, we are having a good relationship with my environment. So, these are the environment and the relationship between how they are get connected with the main care system. This figure is known as the context model. So, this is a system model. So, I hope you people got the basic idea what is system modeling and how we can draw a context model. In our next class, we will go for the interaction modeling. Thank you. Have a great day.